Hello and welcome to another video. This is my fresh tempest builds. Fresh air has changed a little bit in the air tree, and it's made me tweak a few of the things that I use in my build. Firstly, how great is this sculpture? This was made by a guildie of mine. Absolute genius in my opinion. But just in case people don't want it staring at them the whole build, I'm gonna move slightly to the side. So for skills, we've gone with Dagger Warhorn on this build. We've got the shouts, flash freeze, feel the burn, aftershock, wash the pain away, and rebound. This is just so we can get as many auras out as possible, and the build does that very well. It's got basically max damage tempest at the same time as putting out lots of auras and lots of boons on people. So let's get into the traits. So what have I changed? Essentially what I've done is I've reprioritized damage a bit, not much I might add, and I've deprioritized booning your team. So this build will give out a lot of fury to your allies. If you don't need that, we can make a few tweaks to the traits, but it will also give out a fair amount of might if you want it to. It can, but most of the point is that it gives out this protection. It gives out this protection on these shouts. It gives a lot of protection to you and a fair amount to your allies. That's what makes you very tough, and I'll go into the traits. First, actually, we'll get into gear, and it's pretty standard. We've switched to Scholar Roots, as I'm focusing a little bit heavier on damage these days. So we're going for less party boons and more damage. So we've gone Zerk, Scholar Runes, and we've gone for Force and Accuracy. I like to have the extra crit chance. I think technically Sigil of Air is better damage, but I don't trust my luck. I like to boost it a little bit further to get those crits, and I swear I find that using Fresh Air, because it recharges in a crit, sometimes I'll get scuppered by that. So having that extra precision is nice. So that's the gear. So for traits, the air tree, we've got Zephyr's Boon. You can also take Gain Frosty based on your precision. This is a damage increase, obviously, but giving out permanent fury to your team is very useful. If you're by yourself, I always use this because of the fury. Giving out a lot of auras. If you're not by yourself and someone else is giving out fury to your team, then use Ferocious Winds. We're using Aeromancer's Training, gain precision when attuned to air, as another damage increase, help you crit more often. And then the change to Fresh Air, recharge air attunement or critical hit. That was always the same, but gain Frosty boost when attuning to air. So you get 5 seconds of this Frosty boost, which is really nice. That's a really nice bonus here. So you can switch in and out of air as much as you like, and you do a lot of damage when you're in air achievement. So for Tempest, we've got Unstable Conduit, overloading an achievement grants an aura based on your achievement. Grants an aura based on your achievement. So yeah, that just helps you get out more auras. Harmonious Conduit, gain stability when beginning an overload. So this is your break stun if you need it. Upon successfully completing an overload, gain increased damage. So very nice skill, gives you 10% damage for 5 seconds after you do your air overload. You can switch out to Tempestuous Aria if you want. This will help you blast more might, or put more might out to your team, and weakness to the enemies. If your enemies can suffer from weakness, then this is a very decent trait. If your team does not have might, then also a very good trait. But for pure damage reasons, we've gone with Harmonious Conduit. And then Elemental Bastion. Auras you apply, heal allies. So there's a big part of how you can keep your health up is just reapplying auras all the time. Gives you like a flat 800 odd heal, which is very nice. Also the Frost Aura, which lowers damage, which I'll get into later. But obviously it applies more auras to your allies, which is really nice. So the third line is where I differ from most people who play damage elementalists. I've gone with Earth. So what have we got here? We've got grant protection when applying an aura to yourself. So this is the basic. This is the reason I go into Earth. Essentially, it's for this trait here. Grant protection, which is minus 40% incoming damage because of this minor trait in Tempest line, Hardy Conjurer. So you're running at minus 40% damage already, because you're putting out so many auras that you keep up protection on yourself for a lot of the time. Strength of Stone, these three use situationally. GMS's training, remove cripple, immobilize. Rock Solid, stability. Can be useful, particularly useful if you fancy putting stability on your entire team for things like when Gorseval does his smackdown attack. You could basically negate it for everybody, which is quite useful. Gain conditions based on your. This is just a minor damage increase, very minor, I might add. So use these three situationally. And here, this minor trait deserves a lot of attention here. You take less damage from foes within close range. So you're always in close range because you're a dagger elementalist. The range of this is 300. So if you're hitting with your auto attack, you're within this range. So you take minus 10% damage. You're putting protection on yourself, so that's minus 40%, minus 50%, and then when you use Flash Freeze, get a free Frost Aura, or Elemental Bastion procs, you get another minus 10% incoming damage. So on this build, you're running at minus 50 to 60 damage reduction, which is insane. Like, this line basically means you don't die as an Ellie. And Ellies are the squishiest class in the game. I'm also convinced that a lot of the mobs have it hard-coded into focus elementalists. And this means you run at 50 to 60% reduced damage. And this line just means you don't go down. And you provide protection for your team. It's just brilliant. And Diamond Skin has been changed recently as well. It's now much better in my opinion than it used to be. It used to be you were immune to conditions when you were over 90%. Being over 90%, it's useful, but this, it meant if you dipped below 90% and then took conditions, you kept those conditions on you, which was annoying. Whereas this is over 75%, you will lose a condition every second. So this is just generally keeping conditions off you while you're staying healthy. Very, very nice change to Diamond Skin in my opinion. So the basic damage rotation is pretty simple. I'll do a slightly more complex rotation afterwards, which is more sort of team friendly. But in terms of damage, it's really simple. We're going to be procking Shocking Aura, throwing Lightning Orb, overloading throwing our shouts when we can, switching to fire. We'll be doing 1 burning speed, and then we'll be going straight back to air achievement. So that's like the very basic damage rotation. So let's have a go. Messed it up straight away, pressed the wrong button. Let's try that again, shall we? And take 2. It's actually pretty simple. Not really sure why I messed it up the first time. Never mind. But yeah, so you get the idea. I'm going to auto attack a couple of times here because I'm sure Fire Rush only just coming up cooldown. There we go. And we're back. So yeah, you get the idea with this. You can use feel the burn during overload air attunement. That way you're not wasting any time. And it just goes round and round like that. So the second damage rotation, a bit different. This is giving out a little bit more sort of boons to your party, and like just being generally a bit nicer. Why not be a bit nicer? So we're going to put shocking aura down. We're going to lightning orb. We're going to do basic damage stuff in air. We're going to throw our shouts as well, but we're going to overload air while we're a little bit further away from the target. So we'll clip the edge of it when we overload air, and then when we fire rush, we'll end up just outside of the overload air. At which point, we'll have a fire field, and we're going to switch to water, blast the fire field, switch to earth, and blast it again. So we're putting out a fair amount of might, and we'll use heatsink as well to give more might and extend the duration of might. We're giving a fair amount of might. We're giving more protection to your allies as well, and we're still putting out, you know, similar amounts of damage. So let's have a go at that. So yeah, that's my fresh Tempest build. We've gone up in damage quite a lot, maybe down in team utility a bit, but we're just as tough as we always were, with that minus 50 to 60% damage reduction. It's pretty silly actually for an elementalist. So yeah, thanks for watching. Tell a friend.